Hi, I'm Kinshadow. This video is to talk about my 2021 Star Citizen Cosplay Contest entry. I'm going to walk you through the pieces, talk a little bit how I made things, and give you some background info. But first, here's some pics of the final product. Okay, now I'm going to walk you through each of the pieces and talk a little bit about how I made them and what they're made of. So a large portion of the bulky material in the costume is made out of EVA foam. This video is not going to go into how to work with EVA foam. There's a lot out there. You can even check out my 2020 Star Citizen Cosplay Contest video on that. But I'm going to walk you through which pieces are and how they built them up with the foam. Starting with a military webbing harness I have here. This is kind of the base for the costume. You'll see there's little pouches here. These are just chunks of EVA foam that I have dolled up a little bit. The bigger piece and the biggest piece so far, by all means, is the backpack. The backpack is roughly based on the backpack in game. I did print out some 3D greebles from the game files. Other pieces like these I made out of EVA foam or meshing from Lowe's. For the most part, again, it's supposed to be evocative of the backpack. It's not a one-to-one replica. I did build this out with on top of a external frame hiking backpack. Actually, it's more of a kid size than what I would use, but works great for what's compared to be in game. I used PVC pipes to kind of give it some sort of structural integrity, and then use multiple layers of EVA foam to build out the structure. The legs of the costume were built pretty similarly. I used EVA foam to do the bulk of the work with some printing and for greebles, but definitely the majority of it is foam. These are the calves. I obviously came up with something that fit my calf and used Velcro for attaching. Similarly, these are the kneecaps. I used normal knee pads and just basically covered them. Here are my space Crocs. Tried to be as faithful to the game as possible. Built my hiking shoes, and here are the thighs. The thighs have the most 3D printed greebles on them, and then I used webbing thigh holsters in order to attach them to my leg, which clipped into the webbing harness I was wearing underneath the costume. Let them keep on my leg, let me walk around without my virtual space pants falling down. The chest is also mainly EVA foam with some significant 3D printed pieces. There's a under vest that was just totally EVA foam that I fitted to a dummy and then glued pieces on top of. The shoulder pads, the ring, those are all EVA foam. The ring kind of had to be EVA foam because the hole is about as big as my neck, and so I had to be able to push my head through these pieces here for that to look right. The under pieces are also EVA foam, as is the stomach area. There's some 3D printed greebles, but obviously the big 3D printed piece is the chest, pec area. These files took a lot of work to clean up because some of the details was in the bump maps, and so I ended up having to chop those pieces apart, kind of fit them back together to have gaps. And then this has some engineering underneath here to kind of keep this away from the system while letting it have enough of a hole for the fairy lights I have in there to give that blue effect as like it's in game. Oh yes, and then the decals here are I'm done with a vinyl cutter that I cut out later in the end and applied after the paint job. The next set of pieces I'm going to talk about are primarily 3D printed. Here are the arms from the Gray Cat armor. These are pretty much printed as they are in game with just small fixes. Again, you can see where in game these are actually separate pieces, kind of held together with EVA foam on the inside. And then the finishing was obviously a bigger deal. This one's actually got a little bit more 3D edited greebles and stuff like that I put on there between the 3D printing. The decals again are vinyl. The pauldrons. The back has been reinforced with additional greebles and whatnot to hold it together. The strapping. These pieces here were edited in 3D before printing, and obviously the painting took a bit on that one as well. The multi-tool took quite a bit more effort, actually. Surprise. I didn't get it to fold like I wanted to. There's always next time, I guess, but and the finishing took very long on this one. The individual pieces were printed out to make sure that I didn't waste too much time printing this guy. And then obviously the decals are all from vinyl cutting. So the hero piece, the costume, in the Gray Cat armor here is the helmet, as always. Whether you call him Optimus Prime or Evil Techno Predator, either way, he looks pretty cool. Added some lights to give it that effect. The whole thing is obviously 3D printed with the exception of the nape of the neck, just to give more easy access and flexibility for getting my head in and out. Speaking of which, the helmet's actually printed in multiple segments. So the top comes off, and I have magnets embedded here, fairly strong ones. These two pieces are printed separately. This thinner piece is printed at 75% infill, just so that the wire thing in the back doesn't break as easy. This piece is actually printed with a gap and a magnet right here, so that I can hold it up and pull it apart as I put it on my head. This piece is also printed in two separate sections that I then glued together. Fairy lights on the inside, also the magnets for hooking to that. Took quite a while to finish. The clear portions are actually resin. What I did was I extracted those pieces and printed them into an armature tray thing, and then poured silicone latex in there in order to get a negative impression, and then mixed resin and put those in there in order to get the clear pieces. That was a bit of an adventure. I have a good number of failures here with way too many bubbles before I figured out that a vacuum sealer actually gets quite a bit of the bubbles out, as well as a long time of sanding in order to make it semi-clear. I definitely have more experience to go on resin. We'll be using it in future costumes. And that brings me to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed a quick tour of the costume and all the pieces, and me talking about how I made them. If you're interested at all in Star Citizen cosplay, I encourage you to join Director Gunner's Star Citizen Cosplay Discord. It's a great little family that we can share tips on printers and templates for EVA foam, that kind of thing, and be happy to chat with anybody that's interested. See you in the verse.